My favorite part of the brain was the amygdala by Emily Spangler. The amygdala is located in the temporal lobe at the anterior end of the hippocampus. It is a paired structure located in each hemisphere of the brain and is also part of the limbic system, a system which is responsible for regulating memory, emotion, motivation, and learning. The amygdala assigns and evaluates the emotional significance of an incoming stimulus, like visual, auditory, olfactory, and sensation stimuli. It also receives input from the prefrontal cortex, insula, and the hippocampus. Its output is directed to the central nucleus, basal, and accessory basal nuclei to the cerebral cortex, thus generating physiologic reactions to stimuli. It modulates reactions to events in threatening situations, which stimulates fear and danger, thus forming adaptive behaviors. Those anatomical output projections also might underlie the role of the amygdala in regulating certain cognitive processes such as decision-making, attention, and memory. It also forms Pavlovian associations to external stimuli that creates reinforcing reactions/significances that can be considered positive or negative, which thus generates those adaptive behaviors and goal-directed behaviors. As previously mentioned, the amygdala deals with emotional processing. The left amygdala both deals with pleasant emotions and unpleasant emotions, whereas the right strictly deals with unpleasant emotions such as despair, fear, anger, disgust, etc. Size also directly correlates to the brain's emotional intelligence. So the larger your amygdala is, the higher emotional intelligence you have. Emotional intelligence also includes processing and identifying facial expressions, body language, and other people's emotions and perceptions of their emotions. In addition to emotion processing, the amygdala also plays a major role in memory formation. This is where our adaptive behaviors come from. So the left amygdala deals with your reward systems such as conditioning, positive reinforcement, fear extinction, and those Pavlovian associations I previously talked about. And the right amygdala deals with memory consolidation, conditioned fear response, and episodic memory formation. The amygdala and fear conditioning. Now, this is a major function of the amygdala, and so fear conditioning is a form of adaptive learning. It occurs in the right amygdala, and it's when there is a stimuli that we perceive to be a threat that excites glutamate neurons, which are excitatory neurotransmitters. This promotes a fear response, which includes terror, panic, and other autonomic responses like increased heart rate, blood pressure, and increased respiration, perspiration, etc. Now, repeated fear response to a stimuli will cause fear conditioning or a reflex reaction to that fear, thus enabling the body to react instantaneously to any posed threats or danger that have been previously repeated. This reaction can occur before we're even consciously aware of the stimuli via the short route pictured in the picture on the right up top, which is thus the conditioned fear. In addition to fear conditioning, there's also fear extinction. Now, fear extinction is when you no longer perceive a certain stimuli as being dangerous or as being threatening, so you no longer have a fear response to it. And this gradually stops occurring. It's not just an immediate thing. And it occurs in the left amygdala, and it is achieved through psychotherapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. But the individual must practice these therapy techniques regularly in order to prevent that fear response, because fear extinction may be reversible. So it's really imperative that these individuals practice these techniques in order to keep the fear extinct, or in order to keep a no fear response to it. Now, it uses GABA neurons, which are inhibitory neurotransmitters, whereas fear conditioning used glutamate neurons, which are excitatory neurotransmitters. The amygdala hijack. So the amygdala hijack is when an immediate and overwhelming emotional reaction occurs that is extremely disproportionate to the stimulus that triggers a deeper emotional threat. So it's basically when your amygdala kind of takes over and disables logic, or your frontal lobe / your higher cortex, and it's overridden with emotion. The three signs of this is immediate response, a strong emotion, and then immediate regret after you react. It floods the body with adrenaline and cortisol that can affect the body for up to 4 hours after that stimuli. That's why people still feel mad or angry or scared after they have this amygdala hijacked for a few hours for minutes to hours after they experience a stimuli. And mindfulness techniques actually can be used to combat this hijacking. Some techniques such as just counting slowly to 10 or deep breathing can reactivate your higher cortex or your frontal lobe, which can decrease or inhibit the hijacking from occurring. So everything that I just talked about, from emotional processing, memory formation, fear pathways, amygdala hijacking, etc., that is why the amygdala is my favorite part of the brain. It really not controls, but really has such an effect on how you perceive life and how, and basically what makes you you, how you respond to threats, what you think is threatening. And I think it's just astonishing how it kind of really makes a person who they are. And yeah, that's basically why it's my favorite part of the brain. Thank you.